Hi, I'm Dr. Zak Pischonotte, and I'm the instructor of saxophone at Washburn University. I'm going to give you a few pointers on the two excerpts that we have for the KMEA auditions. So excerpt number 1 is the first 5 lines of the Voxman Etude in D major on page 19. So Etude means study in French. So when we're looking at an etude, we need to figure out what sorts of things the composer is trying to iron out in our playing. So for this particular etude, it's a melodic one, so we're trying to focus on highlighting our phrasing, our melodic line, dynamic range, and vibrato. Something else I noticed is that there's some wide intervals in measures 7 and 12, where we're going from the middle register down to the low register. So it's important for these to make sure that we are keeping our jaw set and our air support consistent. An exercise that you can use to smooth out these wide intervals in measure 7 and 12 is to start on a low C with just your air, making sure that your jaw and your air support are in the right place. And then you ascend up your horn in octaves, going up and then back down. And if it's not dropping down the octave right away when you let go of the octave key, then you're probably applying too much jaw pressure and also changing your airspeed from note to note. So I recommend doing this over the full length of your horn, also starting from the top and coming back down, like. You can also try different intervals like fifths, sixths, sevenths, whatever. You can get creative with it. But once you feel like you've gotten comfortable with that, apply it to measures 7 and 12. In regard to phrasing, I noticed that there are not any places to breathe, at least that are written out in the first 2 lines. So what we can do is think of logical places where we can get a breath to make it make sense with the music. I think that a good spot to breathe would be in the second measure after the first A that you play. And now there's nowhere to breathe until the next line, which is 3 measures away. So I think that after this B is also a really good place to breathe, even though there's no breath mark written in here, because it sets us up for the next 2 crescendos that happen over the next 2 measures, gives us plenty of breath support to end in that 3rd line. So I'll show you how that would go. And then for the rest of the etude, we have our breaths written out for us that are in logical spots, so you don't really need to worry about that. Excerpt 2 is the entirety of page 7 in the Selected Studies book. And it looks like the aspect of saxophone playing that's being studied here is articulation. So you need to make sure that you're having a good contrast between your legato articulation on the slurred pairs of notes and your staccato articulations. The tendency is to often tongue too hard when we have staccato sections, and also to tongue really inefficiently, like using too large of a motion. I noticed that a lot of students also pinch when they're doing staccatos. So an exercise that we can do to make sure that our legato and staccato tonguing are working the same way is to, again, start our note with just our air, and you can do this on any random note, and then gradually add your tongue to the reed until it stops vibrating, and you try and keep your air moving through the horn, but no vibration happening on the reed, and then you bring your tongue away. So again, starting the tone with air, slowly putting your tongue on the reed till vibration stops, and then letting it go, like this. We're trying to keep our tongue as close to the reed as possible. So when you're doing staccato and articulation, so when we're doing staccato and legato articulation, our tongue is staying really close to the reed and just staying on for slightly longer when we're doing staccatos. So here's an example, the first few measures doing legato articulations. And then starting on the fourth line, doing staccato articulations. As you're going into your audition, make sure that you have a very strong tempo in your mind, and don't go any faster than you can play the whole thing cleanly. I suggest starting excerpt number 2 at half tempo, just to make sure that you can hit all of these difficult wide intervals. And it says allegro on here, which would be around 120 beats per minute. But I know as an adjudicator, I would rather hear a student play it under tempo with all proper articulations and notes. So don't go any faster than you can play it cleanly. Thanks a bunch for watching. Again, I'm Dr. Zak Pischonotte, the instructor of saxophone at Washburn University. And I would be more than happy to give you extra advice if you want some specific feedback on a video that you feel like is about ready to get submitted but might need a little bit of tweaking. So I can meet with you over Zoom, or I can also just provide you feedback over email, so you'll have my information. And happy practicing. Good luck on your auditions.